It includes economics as well as politics also, because we talk about the freebies scheme. Like it is all set, we can say in Hindi that it is Ram Band. Like a political tool to win the elections, all the parties are relying on freebies. And in the order of freebies, the fiscal discipline bleeds. And our economy has to bear the brunt of freebies. So what is the vision on that? Are we continuing with all these things, or enhancing these populist schemes, or we are going to control in near future?
So one thing is, statistically, the freebies are not straining the fiscal system because states have very strong fiscal rules. So what happens is, when freebies increase, the overall deficit spending of state governments doesn't increase, but what happens is that the composition of their spending changes. The revenue expenditure share goes up and the capital expenditure share goes down. That is the downside of it. The second dimension is, of course, freebies sometimes play an important part. When demand is weak, freebies are a form of fiscal transfer which supports aggregate demand growth, and some of it therefore comes back as tax revenue to the states from indirect taxes or direct taxes. Even then, the net effect is that it changes the composition and the quality of fiscal expenditure on the part of states. That's one point. The other dimension is whether it is for households or businesses. Whenever some sort of concession or transfer or freebies or tax rebates, whatever is given, the important thing is not to question that those transfers themselves from the government, but to ask what is the quid pro quo on the part of the recipients. Now, in the case of businesses, it should be productivity growth, export performance, employment generation. On the part of households, the quid pro quo should be, in fact, more related to their own self-improvement. Investment in physical health, investment in mental health, investment in upskilling, investment in consuming nutritious food, etc., or education. So these are all the kind of quid pro quo that governments can demand from households in return for the freebie, so that the overall quality of the population and the labor force goes up, and that is a good bargain to have.
Questions are being put up that instead of giving the cash benefits to the people, wouldn't it be appropriate to create more jobs for that? That amount is diverted in creating more jobs, and that will be the appropriate measure.
No, it is not a mutually exclusive thing. We can do both, and governments are doing both. Because job creation is facilitated by governments through deregulation and creating an economy wherein businesses can grow, particularly small and medium enterprises, because they are the ones who create the jobs. And that is why the deregulation drive, both in the union and state governments, is very important. Because deregulation makes it possible for businesses to grow without being afraid of facing higher compliance requirements, and therefore they grow the business and hire more people. And simultaneously that brings in more tax revenues, and you can support, using that you can support the underserved segments of the population and bring them up to participate in the national mainstream. So both are not mutually exclusive.
ABP न्यूज आपको रखे आगे।